What's up guys, Mickle here, and not a lot of people are talking about this, but tomorrow's actually going to be a pretty big day in the Ripple SEC case. In this video, we're going to talk about what to expect tomorrow, as well as I want to address some speculation that has been going around the XRP community, which is, will we see a settlement in the Ripple SEC case in September? A lot of people are talking about this. I want to address that, but towards the end of the video, I actually go over what is happening to the market right now. We just saw a massive drop in the cryptocurrency market. I want to go over exactly what is taking place here, because I think there's some very interesting dynamics taking place between the SEC and the rest of the cryptocurrency industry. Not a lot of people are talking about this, but it is holding back a ton of capital right now. Like always, your support means so much to this channel. If you enjoy these videos, make sure to take a quick second to like this video and subscribe to my channel. It really does help me out so much. Also, if you ever need a good place to buy some XRP or the Flare token, make sure to check out my favorite exchange uphold down in the description of this video. With that said though, let's jump right into it, and I hope you guys enjoy the content. So I want to start this video and actually address a narrative that really gets thrown around traditional finance, and that is that you shouldn't go up against regulators like the SEC. You shouldn't push back against the institutions. I want to show you exactly what Coinbase has to say about this, because Ripple actually took the same mentality, and I think it's really important that we all understand this mentality, because a lot of people are watching these cases and saying who won, who lost, but that's really not what matters here. I want you to listen up to what Coinbase's chief legal officer actually said here. I think it's an excellent quote, and it's going to give you such a good idea of what the cryptocurrency industry is trying to do to fight back against the SEC.
This is not just about Coinbase, its leaders, our shareholders. This is about all of us in the industry. And that's one of the reasons why I've been so inspired by Brian Armstrong and our board in committing whatever the resources necessary to put on the absolute best case we can, because so many people all over the world are counting on us to do our very best. Now, you asked about winning and losing. One of the things I think that often gets confused about how Coinbase is thinking about this case is that we somehow have to win it all or else we lose. And certainly the SEC, or at least the chair, has suggested that, oh, if we just prove one token in one case was a security, it's game over. That's just not true. The reason it's not true is that, our objective all along, our definition of winning has been give us clarity on what the standards are, tell us what the rules are, and we'll comply with them. I happen to think we're going to win this case, and I happen to think we're going to win across the board. But if I'm wrong about that, if we lose on a token or product or service here or there, if the court does what I expect it will do, and we should all expect it to do in laying out the standards and rules that underlie that decision, we'll comply, and others will be able to comply in a way that just isn't possible today. So that's why we have been so insistent.
So I thought that was an excellent clip right there, because it really goes to exactly what happened in the Ripple SEC case. Ripple did not expect to win on every single sale of XRP. That was completely unrealistic. It was always going to be some in between. But the fact of the matter is Ripple always wanted to comply with the law, just like Coinbase. The SEC was saying, you're not allowed to do that. You need to go out of business. So these cases aren't necessarily about winning or losing. Obviously, winning is a lot better than losing, but it's really about getting the rules of the road. What Ripple found out in their case against the SEC is almost every single sale they do of XRP does not violate securities transactions. Now, that is a massive win, but they also got clarity on which transactions violate securities laws and which one don't. This is the clarity that the cryptocurrency industry needs, and Coinbase is taking that same approach. They understand they're probably going to have products in their platform that violate securities laws, but they don't actually care. They just need to know which ones are securities so they can actually register them. I thought that was really important for everyone to see, because so many people just look at the result, who won, who lost, but at the end of the day, it's all about clarity. So many people out there think that if the SEC goes after a product, that means it's illegal. It doesn't mean it's illegal, it just means it has to be registered. A lot of these cryptocurrency companies are more than happy to register their products. The SEC just won't tell them which products have to be registered. It's a complete joke, but I thought that was a really important clip to show you. And Stuart Alderati actually said in response to this, lawyers should never be told again, don't poke the bear, since it seems it's the only way to stop these unelected bureaucrats from pushing their failed political agendas. So many people have said this recently. The SEC actually filed their case against the law and lost. The SEC is not abiding to the law. They are going after cryptocurrencies themselves being securities, despite the fact that 85 years of the Howey test have told us that is completely wrong. I just think it's so important that we all understand this mentality right here. Right now, the cryptocurrency industry is doing everything it can to figure out how it can operate compliantly in the United States, and the SEC is pushing back with full force. The good news is, though, is the US judicial system has been doing a bang-up job. They have been absolutely taking it to the SEC, and this is something I personally did not expect. I did not expect the courts to be so in favor of the cryptocurrency companies going up against the SEC, but I guess that is the one benefit to our system. Despite the fact that we have corrupt politicians and corrupt regulators, at least we have courts that will do the right thing no matter what. I have been extremely impressed with these courts. I am so happy Ripple got their win, Grayscale got their win, and I am more than confident Coinbase is also about to get a massive win in their case. This should all but finish off any hope that the SEC had of actually getting control of this industry. Now, I want to quickly talk about why the market dropped today. I have some important points to go off from this, and that is that almost every single Bitcoin spot ETF was delayed by the SEC. So despite the fact that Grayscale just beat the SEC and the court literally told the SEC, hey, it is absolute BS that you are denying this ETF, essentially the SEC can now delay ETFs. So the reason why I think the market dropped so much is because a lot of people thought when BlackRock filed their ETF, BlackRock will never get denied. BlackRock is in bed with the SEC. There is no way BlackRock is going to file an ETF and it's going to get delayed or denied, but that is exactly what we saw today. So what's the lesson from this? The lesson from this is no one can run a cryptocurrency business in the United States. It doesn't matter if you're a big institution. It doesn't matter if you're Ripple. It doesn't matter if you're Coinbase. You are not allowed to operate in the United States according to the SEC. A lot of people had the prediction that BlackRock was going to get let through the door because they're BlackRock. That is not what's happening here, and this is what we need to take away from this. No matter who you are, the SEC has a vendetta against you if you are touching cryptocurrencies. This really just says the state of the market right here. So many people were predicting that BlackRock would get let through, but what we are seeing now is that the SEC is in a war against everyone, and honestly, I think this is a horrible strategy. They could have just let BlackRock and Fidelity through the door and say, look, we're not interested in you little guys. We just want the big boys to get through the door because they have a proven track record. The SEC is just waging a war against all of cryptocurrencies. And let me just tell you, the big reason why we haven't seen more of a push as of recent is because not all the cryptocurrency companies have that much money to lobby these politicians. But when you turn BlackRock and Fidelity against you, guys, these people borderline own the politicians. So I don't know how much longer the SEC stance is going to last doing things like this. So now I want to move on and actually talk about what's happening tomorrow and speculate on whether or not we're going to see a settlement in September. Now, there is a lot of buzz right now going around Twitter that the SEC versus Ripple case will settle in September. I want to give you my thoughts on that, but first get into exactly what we're going to see tomorrow. So tomorrow in the Ripple SEC case, we're actually going to see Ripple file their motion on telling the judge why the SEC should not be able to go forth with an appeal in this case. For those of you who forgot, essentially the SEC is appealing Judge Torres' decision in this case, and Ripple is essentially going to file something tomorrow saying the SEC should not be able to do this. Now, because Ripple already won the case, I expect they're going to hit hard in this letter and really go at the SEC's throat. Ripple was already very clear that they didn't think the SEC should even be allowed to file their motion to ask for an appeal. So I have a feeling this one denying the appeal is going to be worded even stronger. Now, a lot of people are speculating that in September, Judge Torres is going to come out, deny the SEC's request for this appeal, and then the case is going to settle. I want to tell you why I don't think that's going to happen, or at least not on that timeline. Actually, what I just said is exactly what I think is going to happen. I think Judge Torres is going to deny the SEC's appeal, and then the case is going to settle. But I don't think it's going to happen in September. The SEC has up until September 8th to reply to Ripple's reply to the SEC's initial request. I know it's completely absurd, but I just don't see Judge Torres turning around her decision in a couple weeks. It's probably going to take her 2 to 3 months to actually write this thing, file it, and then we're going to see at that point what her decision is. I have a feeling around November or December, we're going to get Judge Torres' ruling based on the much longer timeline we got in the entire case. And then I think Ripple and the SEC will be forced to get together and settle. And the reason why I think they're going to have to settle is because the SEC just doesn't have any charges left if they're not allowed to appeal. Think about it this way. The only thing the SEC really has going to trial is whether or not Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson purposely broke the law when they sold XRP. How could they have purposely broken the law if even today most sales of XRP does not violate securities transactions? It doesn't make any sense. So the SEC would just be carrying a case to trial that they could never win. And on top of that, this was brought to my attention recently, the trial's in New York. These are all Trump era officials who were at the SEC. I'm not saying that in a political sense. What I'm saying is Brad and Chris could simply say these are corrupt Trump era officials, and half of New York is going to take their side just on that alone. Now, like I said, I'm not playing politics here. I'm just stating the facts, and I think we all know that's how it works. So I just don't really see the rest of this case going to trial. If Judge Torres does in fact deny the SEC's appeal, I'm a betting man, and I bet she will deny the SEC's appeal in this case. It's just when she does that. I don't think she does it in September. I think it's November or December. And then from there, I think we can really talk about this case wrapping up. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for coming. I hope you enjoyed this update. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. It really does mean so much. And for now, Mickle out.